Do you also know the grammar rule but still forget the S while speaking? Here is a solution for you. Stop treating it as a rule. Start building automaticity through meaningful repetition and output. I'm going to show you how to do this with Picturebox. Now, what's your first impression when you hear Picturebox? Some of you might think Picturebox, they are for kids. But in fact, they are a great resource for learners who haven't reached intermediate level. Let me show you how we can build automaticity, that is the muscle memory, with the help of Picturebox. So this is a photo taken from this picture book. The story is about a teacher who's late for school and how he gets to school eventually, right? So let's look at this photo. And usually with the picture book, we would read the texts, right? That's the first thing we do. So we'd say, oh, wake up, Mr. Bungles. You are late, TikTok. Okay, and then we look at the picture and then we ask the kids or we ask learners some questions. That's our usual practice, right? And as you can see here, there is no third person singular at all, right? There is no third person singular. And what we can do is to either ask yourself some questions, or if you have a teacher, the teacher can incorporate this into the learning process. Okay, for example, I might ask, what does the bird do? Okay, so besides answering with the text clues, for example, you can say, the bird says, wake up, Mr. Bungles. The bird says, you are late, right? So we have says. What sound does the clock make? The clock makes the sound tick-tock. See, what else does the bird do? The bird lands on a tree. Okay, you can even say the bird yells at Mr. Bungles, yells at, wake up, Miss Bungles. Right? And how does the bird look? The bird looks worried. Now, let's look at Mr. Bungles. What does Mr. Bungles do? Okay, to this question, you might answer with, Mr. Bungles teaches, right? Because he's a teacher. But here, specifically, you can say, Mr. Bungles lies on his bed. Mr. Bungles looks at the clock. Mr. Bungles dismisses the alarm because the alarm rings and he finally wakes up, right? As we can see, you can train this. You can train your muscle memory with third person singular by repeatedly talking about the character. And by character, I mean really everything in the picture or everything that you can imagine that is related to the story. For example, we can also say, oh, so Mr. Bungles gets up. He puts on his clothes. He wears his shoes. He eats breakfast. He drinks a cup of milk. Right? There's tons of verbs can be used in the story or can be used to practice to build the muscle memory. All right, so this is just to show you how you can actually exploit every picture book really to build muscle memories instead of, because knowing that third person singular should add an s at the end of the verb is not enough. It's far from enough. You need to practice and practice and practice. But the practice has to be meaningful, right? Stop those boring drills like he has, she has, it has, he eats, she eats. This kind of drill really kills your passion for language learning. That's what I said in the beginning. We need to produce meaningful repetition. That is, you are actually communicating. Now, grammar only becomes automatic when you practice it in meaningful situations again and again. So it's like something you are born with. Not that you have to think about it, like think for 1 second and then realize, oh, I have to add an S, or you've already made a mistake and then you have to come back, correct yourself by adding the S. Okay. And I know for adults it's more difficult because now the mistakes are somewhat fossilized. So we sometimes can generate the correct form, sometimes cannot. So it takes more energy and effort to build automaticity. But regardless of what your current situation is, what your current level is, you should start now. Build that muscle memory, okay? Stop thinking about the grammar rules, but instead build that, practice again and again. I believe you can do it.